Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we want to talk about the single Inferno towers, and there are so many questions out there where you're asking me whether or like why and how can we do what we do with our queen charges, and you guys can't do this against single Inferno towers. And the pretty easy answer to this is yes, you can't do all of the queen charges I'm showing on my YouTube channel to single Inferno towers, and that's why you need a different technique with these single Inferno towers. I will show you guys in my video today how we do this. First off, let's take a look at the first base, and I will show you guys how we break down bases to actually make sure to triple those with the single Inferno tower setup. So let's take a look at the first base, which is going to be this one, and this army is pretty much wrecking any single Inferno tower base. What do you have to do for that? Well, I will show you guys. First off, let's mark all of the buildings which are having splash damage, because you want to separate those and make sure that you can pretty easily pick up the single Inferno towers, because you will just swarm them, which means you want to have as many troops as possible, really small troops with not that much HP, for example skeletons, bats, stuff like this, tanking the single Inferno towers, because they can't really handle the mass to actually do something about that. So the first thing you should do is marking the splash damage. So this is going to be this one, all of the wizard towers obviously, and then you have to take a second look whether all of the Inferno towers are actually set to single. On this one, because I have to admit we're not seeing single Inferno towers too often, because they're just bad. They're like, whenever you see a base with single Inferno towers, just triple it. And I will show you guys, like I said, on how to do so. And this is the first step you should do. Mark all of the buildings which can do splash damage. The next one is going to be the town hall, because the town hall is like a special building which sometimes can do splash damage. That's why it's kind of specific. But normally you try to you go for taking that out as well. That's like your go-to. So the next thing you should do after marking all of this, you can mark it on, I don't know, like on your phone, just in your head, it's totally up to you. But the next thing you have to do is find an entry where you can take out as much splash damage as possible. So let's see. This entry is taking out maybe 2, this one as well. So those 2 are already trashed pretty much. So we don't want to take those. What is the next option we have? The next option we have is from this angle, or we can come in from this angle. Those are like the most obvious ones. So let's take a look at the right one. We have 1, 2, maybe 3, 4, and the 5 is already really far back. So we could get 5, but the last one is going to be a really tricky one, because we're in between the multi-Inferno tower and the town hall, which it's not the best thing you want to be in. So this option is a thing, but let's take a look at the next one, and that's the upper left entry. And this is going to be different because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 splash damage buildings up there we can take out. We're really early into the multi-Inferno tower, which means it's super easy to just overwhelm it, and we don't have any splash damage after that, which means it's super easy to actually just overwhelm this side of the base. And then we have 1, 2 splash damage buildings left to actually take out with our bats, for example. So this is pretty much the goal of the strategy. Take out as much splash damage in the beginning as possible, and then take out the rest of the base with the bats. So let's take a look at how he's doing this and what we can pick up, except the first couple of things you should note when you're attacking a base like this with this army composition. So let's go. The first thing you should do obviously is funneling, which means on the left side like a baby dragon, on the right side boulder bounce, whatever. If you need 2 baby dragons for that, it's totally fine as well. Just do whatever you need to funnel your troops inside. Coconut loon, baby dragon, everything is looking perfect, and then you want to push in between those 2 funnel points with your main push, which in this case are the witches. He as well is using the king as well, because he's not sure about taking this wizard tower out with his main push. That's why he's bringing the king into this as well. Okay, witches are going in, ram is going in as well. Now it's all about to get as many layers open as possible, and well, in this case, the multi-Inferno Tower is even really good for the defender. So even if this would have been a single Inferno Tower, this attack would have been even more easy for the attacker. So at this point, we will pause because you already see we took out already one of the wizard towers. The next one is going to be the Inferno Tower. Then we're going into the next wizard tower. We will jump to the town hall, and then we can take out the next splash damage building as well. After that, we can come in with the bats and just take out pretty much everything else. And you see, as soon as the wizard tower, as soon as the multi Inferno Tower is down, the single Inferno Towers just can't keep up with all of the skeletons running around and doing their thing. So let's see, the single Inferno Tower can't do anything against that. And this is like one of the big issues, and this is one of the big reasons why single Inferno Tower bases are just trash, and why you always go for tripling those early, because it's just a gifted 3-star. So he's coming in over here. Now he's using one of the ice creams to tank actually the wizard tower, another ice cream on the right side to tank the next wizard tower, and take a look at the Inferno Tower. He can't do anything. Bad spells are already really powerful against multi-Inferno Towers if you can freeze those. If you have even single Inferno Towers, which means you get rid of splash damage in your town 12 base, it's getting even more easy to triple bases. So that's something to keep in mind. Anything which is using bats, if it's, I don't know, like the witch slap right now I'm showing to you guys, if it's drag bat, it doesn't matter. All of those strategies will completely overkill those single Inferno Tower bases. I will show you in a second another option to do so, but this is one of the best options I would like recommend to you guys. This is the main, like this is the number one army when I have to face single Inferno Towers. So it's super strong. Try it out on your own if you're facing single Inferno Towers, but do not try the Queen Charge into single Inferno Towers, because I see so many guys, like even in the live streams when the qualifiers in Poland were, those guys suck. Those bases are using multi-Inferno Towers. They don't know what to do. We always have to face single Inferno Towers. You can't Queen Charge those, etc. You're right, you can't Queen Charge those, but you can just stupid spam everything in and you will triple anyways, because there's so much splash damage missing. So let's take a look at the next base. I think it's number 13 if I'm correct. Let's check it out. Yes, it is. Normally we don't face too many single Inferno Towers, so it was kind of rare that the opponent clan had 2 bases with 2 single Inferno Towers, and that's why I tried to take a look at. Once again, I don't think that it would have been a difference whatsoever if this would have been a single Inferno Tower, because once again we're not doing a Queen Charge. Once again, let's mark all of the buildings which are doing splash damage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buildings which are doing splash damage. The town hall as well, which means it's 7. And I mean, you see already the entry is, it's getting kind of obvious. Like from this side into the base, you're taking out so many splash damage buildings. It is kind of obvious, but let's take a second look at what we do next, because once again, you could do bats, whatever, but you want to, like, if you want to do something different, you can choose Hawks, for example, as well. They're a little bit more risky because, well, Hawks are always risky, kinda, if the opponent knows how to place spring traps. But most of the time, you can just go in because not that many guys really know how to place those traps. So after taking out at least this part of the base, you can just like use the Hawk Riders and we'll face 1, 2, maybe, if not the kill squad already took that out, 3 splash damage buildings. You're facing as well 2 single Inferno Towers, which means you can just swarm the base with Hawk Riders. It's pretty simple. So let's take a look at how your Karma is doing this. First off, he's luring the CC. Well, I think the plan would have still worked, but let's check it out how he's doing that. Poison, and then with the Baby Dragon, really nicely done. Okay, so let's take a look at the attack. First off, he's losing a lot of healers to this P.E.K.K.A, which is running onto the outside, and this air defense over here, which is a little bit unlucky, which means it's already going worst case. Next thing is the boulders are walking, so it's kind of surprising that it even tripled, but well, single Inferno Towers are that trash. So next rage to get into the core, and you have to take out obviously the enemy king and queen to actually do Hawk Riders. So the next phase is going to push even deeper into the base. King is tanking a lot of stuff, queen is taking out the next splash damage. So at this point we have only 3 splash damage buildings left. At the bottom of this base, the Hawk Riders are now coming in to get into the base. He has 2 heal spells. The first heal spell is getting used, and meanwhile the queen is taking out another splash damage, which means at this point the Hawk Riders can only face 2 splash damage buildings. So this is not too much, but sadly the spring traps were kind of decent like in this area, which means he lost a lot of Hawk Riders, but the queen is still alive. He can still use her ability. Boulders are still alive at the bottom, and he can just heal through the last couple of splash damage buildings because there's once again no multi-Infernotower to boost everything up, kinda. So you see, you can pretty much swarm the single Inferno-Towers, and do not try to charge them. That's normally way too risky and not that what works. And now if you think about what you should do when you're setting up your Inferno-Towers, whether you should choose single Inferno-Towers or multi-Inferno-Towers, take in consideration how many people in Clash of Clans can actually proper queen charge a base if it's set up correctly, and how many people can just spam in witches into a base and triple you because you have no splash damage in your base. Think about that and then decide whether you are choosing multi-Inferno-Towers or single Inferno-Towers. That's it for today's video. I hope I showed you a couple of new tricks which you didn't know, and once again I hope most of you guys are using the multi-Inferno-Towers. Except that, I will see you guys in the next video, and bye bye.